Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. I'm Andrea Mambretti, and today I'm going to present on behalf of Giulia, Nitin, and Alessandro that could not participate to the conference, and I'm going to show their work on how to bind anonymous credential to humans. So I guess everyone in the room here is familiar with physical credentials. Every one of us, I guess, is carrying at least one ID with us in our wallets, right? And these IDs are quite convenient because they are widely accepted, right? And they're also most of the IDs today, they have pictures, right? So we cannot just share the ID. So it's kind of they have this nice non-transferable feature, but they also have some limitations, right? Especially nowadays in the age of privacy, right? We cannot, by using physical credential, we cannot support selective disclosure, for instance. When we are asked, for instance, our age, when we give our driving license, on the driving license there might be the address where we live, right? And so during the presentation phase, we are also leaking some of our data, right, with these IDs. And also, most of these IDs, we have plenty of them. Lots of institutions give us, physical credential, and we need to carry most of them with us, or it's easy to forget or lose. On the other hand, we have digital credentials that are getting more and more popular, especially in recent years. During the pandemic, for instance, in Europe, we had the COVID pass, right? And this type of credentials allow actually for a selective disclosure because we can decide which information to show during the verification phase. And they're also easy to store and manage because we have all in our phone wallet. We can add and remove them as much as we like, and everything is confined in the same space. The problem with this digital credential, though, is that it's very hard to bind these credentials to a specific human, right? Because we don't generally have a picture on them. So let's consider now this is a very small example. We have Alice and Bob, and Alice has a bus membership, and it's a digital credential, right? So there is a QR code that represents the membership. And Bob can go and ask, can I use your credentials, right? And the verifier, so the bus driver, how can he know that that's not Bob's bus? How can we force Bob to actually buy his own bus, right? And so we have two approaches for this. We can either have a centralized place where some of these credentials are, and when the verification happens of this bus membership, for instance, we will have the verifier to receive an image of the person. This with this method, we have a problem of privacy because the verifier receives a picture, right? And can store the picture, and also this picture must be stored somewhere else also, and we will have a centralized place where all the identification information are, and that's not very good. The second is actually to let the holder of the pass to show the picture, right? But in this case, we will need to trust the device of the holder, and that's also not particularly good and easy to do. So in this work, my colleagues basically show how we can actually get this feature, binding digital wallets to human with actually leaking any, by basically maintaining privacy information, the privacy of the whole process. The underlying technology used in this paper are the BBS signatures, which are signature schemes that allow us to basically sign a vector of attributes. And the beautiful thing about this technology is that we can then verify in a later stage without actually having the signer to be present, right? In this paper, they also use an extension of BBS called BBS Plus, and this particular extension allows for basically blinding signing attributes. So the signer doesn't know what kind of attributes is signing, as well as the presentation with selective disclosure. So we can verify the signature of the credential only also on a subset of the attributes. So we don't need to always take all the attributes that we signed early on and verify. We can also verify on a subset of these attributes. So how does like the signature, BBS signature work in practice? So we have like a holder of the credential, right? And this holder is going to provide to a signer, which we assume to be like an institution, a series of attributes. And the signer will provide the credential A, right? In which like the credentials and the attributes, along with like two value of randomness E and S, and the signing key will be all returned to the holder. And then also the signer will produce the verification key, W, which we will see later. So at the moment of the verification, right, the holder has a series of attributes, M, and then also the signature, the credential sigma, right? And it's gonna, the holder is gonna provide the credential to a presentation protocol, and it's gonna tell the presentation protocol the attributes that she doesn't want to disclose. And in this case, like the set D is actually the set of attributes we want to disclose in the process. On the verifier side, the verifier gives to the presentation protocol, right, only the key to verify the signature and the attributes that wants to be verified. And the presentation protocol basically returns to the verifier the answer, okay, the signature is verified or not. In this case, like the verifier doesn't really have, doesn't receive like the actual credentials because it's all done by the presentation protocol. In this particular example, I'm not going to go into the details of the presentation protocols that are in the paper. This is just to give you like the privacy features of this work. So the core idea of this work is actually to use these BBS plus credentials and split them into parts on a smartphone and part on a smart card. In the smart card part, basically, for performance reasons, we want to keep it at the minimum level possible. And the idea of using a smart card is because we can place our picture on the smart card, and the smart card, it's one single element that we can also use, bring in our phone cover, right? So it's easy to carry around. And we want to make sure that the smart card in all this process is going to be a minimal but mandatory part. So we want to, the holder of these credentials, we want always the holder to basically present both at the same time. So that we can also, with the smart card, we can have a visual match. So the verifier can always verify, for instance, the picture, right? With the person that is presenting the credential, but without actually leaking the picture because the verifier is not going to take the picture, and the smart card only contains that information of the user. There has been quite a bit of prior work on this in terms of like using anonymous credentials on smart cards, for instance, or splitting the credentials. And compared to all these previous works, the work I'm presenting is enhancing in terms of like security from the cryptography point of view, as well as like a performance point of view. Because most of the other work, especially on smart card, would heavily rely on the smart card for the verification operation, but the smart cards have like very reduced computational power, right? So what's the trick here in this work? So the idea is that in the smart card, the only information, the only attributes that we are going to have is going to be a user ID. And we assume that the user ID is going to be blindly wrote from like the issuer of the smart card, which is also the institution that makes sure that the picture on the smart card is actually the picture of the holder, right? And then we make the user ID being part of the BBS signature. So when we create the signature of the credential, which will be then stored in the smartphone, we make sure that there is also the user ID. And in fact, if you see the blue highlighted, now the UID is also part of the signature. And the idea here is that when we do the verification process of A, now the user must provide the correct UID. So if there is no UID, so we don't present the smart card, the verification will fail, right? And also if we provide the wrong ID, that also will cause the verification to fail. This system has been implemented on Java card and NXP Java cards, and the whole presentation will only take 200 milliseconds, so it's quite practical to be used in a day-to-day life. So to summarize, this work basically allows us now to basically bind an anonymous credential to humans by relying on a smart card, and basically the verification happens in a fast and secure manner through the BBS signatures that allow us to verify only selective attributes of the whole signature. So for more details about the crypto and all the information, you can look at the paper. And if you have questions, please, you can contact my colleague, Nitin. And yeah, thank you.
Great.